Hello guys. So last week we spoke about what productivity is. We bust some productivity myths. We talked about what productivity really is, and we also spoke a little about perspectives when it comes to productivity. In the video today, we're going to be talking about productivity archetypes and also helping you create systems that actually work for you specifically. If there is one thing I've realized about productivity and being able to get to that point where you are able to create systems that work specifically for you, it is that many people have not been able to study their natural rhythms and also understand their seasons well enough to create these systems. So what this conversation around productivity archetypes is going to do for you is that it's going to help you begin to understand yourself, understand your rhythms, and be able to work on a system that actually favors you while leveraging your natural strengths. That's simply what this is about. I'm so excited to get into this conversation, and once again, you're welcome to that corner of the internet where you have valuable resources, content, and conversations that help you become your most authentic self. Let's jump right into today's video. The first productivity archetype I want us to speak about is the planner. If you're a planner, you're someone who likes to predict outcomes. And because you like to be able to predict outcomes, you're someone who is very organized. You thrive on strategy, you thrive on organization. And so you're usually tilting towards to-do lists, plans for your week. You like that sense of system around the things that you do. And if you're someone like this, some of the challenges that you can face is that you can get into that place of over planning without taking action. And also, you may not do well with disruptions. So when challenges come, when disruptions come, it is difficult for you to really bounce back. But here's how you can create a system that actually works specifically for you if you are a planner. The first thing you want to do is leverage or lean on your strengths, your natural strengths. And because you're already someone who likes to plan, who likes clarity and routines, one of the things you want to do is have weekly plans. So on Sunday evenings, for example, you can say, how can I properly plan the week? You want to say, when am I going to achieve? What do I want to achieve this week? What are my priority goals? What are the things I want to do? So have a clear plan of what your week is going to look like. But the truth of the matter is that when you're creating that plan, as a planner, what you want to have at the back of your mind is this: I am creating this plan to be able to really see and view my week, not control my week. Because if you're a planner, most times you tend to be controlling about the things that you do. And one thing you do not want to do is to get into that place where you're trying to aggressively control your time. The second thing you want to do, or the second thing I need you to understand, is that disruptions will happen, distractions will come, and you have to be able to give room or leave room in your plan and in your routine to accommodate life. Because things can happen at any time. And also open your mind to the reality that the fact that I am planning does not mean that something cannot come and disrupt this plan. When you're able to keep yourself in that mental space, it is easy for you to deal with disruptions when they come. And it's easier for you to handle surprises generally. You can also opt for project management tools like Trello or Notion and the rest of them. Those things will also help you lean into your organizational skills and also lean into that routine and structure that you love. Another thing that you want to do if you're a planner is to pair with someone who loves spontaneity, someone who loves to be spontaneous, someone who loves to just, go out and do stuff without planning it. So sometimes those kind of relationships can help you begin to lean into your more spontaneous side. So when you are creating a plan, you're not as rigid because there's always someone reminding you that life is still happening and you also have to be able to enjoy at certain times. The second archetype I want us to speak about is the sprinter. So if you're someone who is a sprinter, you're someone who loves urgency. You're someone who loves to work under pressure. You're someone who likes that adrenaline of getting something done in a short time. But the downside to your system is that usually might get into that place where you procrastinate until it becomes too late, and then you start working under pressure. The thing about sprinters is that they create pressure to be able to have that burst of energy and adrenaline to get work done. But the thing about them is that most times they're usually inconsistent. So if you're someone who is a sprinter, here is how you can leverage that strength to get things done. So one of the things you want to do, because you're someone who loves urgency, you're someone who loves deadlines, you want to create weekly deadlines, or you want to create micro deadlines. And micro deadlines just mean, for example, if you're given a project to do and submit maybe in 1 month time, rather than waiting for 3 weeks and then trying to get it done in 1 week, what you can do is sit down with that goal that you have, or sit down with that task that you've been given, and ask yourself, what part of this work can I do in the first week? What part of this work can I do in the second week, third week, and then the fourth week? So you divide this into like a plan for the next 4 weeks. And what you want to do is say, this first part for this week, when is the deadline, or what is the deadline I'm setting for this first part? That way you're able to create deadlines for yourself, but also meet your original deadline by working in short time frames and still getting the work done. Since you love pressure so much, and since you love deadlines so much, this system is going to work for you. Another thing you want to do if you're a sprinter is actually be able to track how much time it takes to get certain things done, so you don't overpack your time with a lot of tasks. Another thing you may need to do is to see how you can create work time for certain tasks that you have. And here's what I mean. For example, you know that you have something to do this week. How about you say, for the next 4 days, I'm going to create 30 minutes out of every day to get this done. So you're not overpacking your time and trying to do everything at the same time. You're able to work in short bursts that help you channel your energy in the right way and also not overexert yourself. The third archetype I want us to speak about is the flower. The flower is more like me, and so I love to speak about this particular archetype. The flower is someone who loves inspiration, who is naturally just waiting for the feeling to be right to get things done. They are someone who would also thrive on their environment providing the right energy to get their work done. So they like moods. They work well with moods. And for me, the picture that comes to mind is a lady coming into her bedroom or her sitting room or her workspace, lighting a scented candle, bringing out a journal, getting seated, and keeping herself in that environment where work just flows from a place. And if you're someone who is a flower, you usually would wait to be inspired. You will wait to feel it before you get it done. And the challenge here is you will not always feel it. And so if you always wait for that emotions or those emotions to be right, you find out that you will just end up not getting anything done. So how can you properly build a system if you're someone who thrives on inspiration and that emotional connection with the work that you're actually doing? Here's how. You want to learn to use mood-based to-do lists. And this is something that I do. Because I thrive on energy and I thrive on feeling it to get it done, I'm not going to try to change who I am. I know that there are certain situations where I will not feel it and I have to force myself, because that's where discipline comes in, right? But I also want to be able to leverage my strengths. And what are mood-based to-do lists? These are just to-do lists that sort of capture the work that you do at different times of your day when you feel the most energy or less energy. For example, I usually will have more energy late at night. I'm literally filming this video around past 11 in the night, so you can imagine. I have a lot of energy late at night, especially when I have like a nap around the evening, early evening time. I also have a burst of energy early in the mornings. I'm not an afternoon person, and so when it gets into the afternoon, when maybe the sun is coming out and everywhere is getting hot and bright, I would usually not be able to concentrate as much. So what I would do is I set my priority tasks at the time where I have the highest energy. And so if I'm going to get work done and I'm going to do it in a way that matters to me, or in a way that I want it to be done, I would set those tasks late at night or early in the mornings. And for tasks that are not so much of a priority, I will do them in the afternoon. So that's what I mean by mood-based to-do lists. Writing to-do lists or setting your lists or setting your tasks in a way that it plays into your natural energy. Another thing you want to do is create flow zones in your home. Personally, I cannot work in an environment that is scattered. I can't work in an environment that is not well kept or organized. And one thing I try to do, or I make sure to do, if I'm going to do important work, I have to make sure that my environment is right. And so if you're a flower, you find out that your environment has to look a certain way for you to be able to get work done. And so most times if I want to work on my desk cannot be disorganized because it will affect my quality of work. So what I try to do is to set the tone around my environment to keep me in that place of committing to the thing that I want to do, by bringing my mind there, keeping my mind in a certain state, and helping me really focus on the work that I'm about to do. So it looks like setting up my table, arranging my table, make sure that I don't have any clutter around, and just sitting down to just flow. That's why I call it the flower, or I call this person the flower. So the next archetype is the reactor. The reactor is the kind of person, or if you're a reactor, you're the kind of person who loves active environments, but also likes to work based on external pressure. So you're someone who is more reactive than you are proactive. So you're not taking initiative to do work done because it has to be done. You're getting work done because you're now under pressure by other people to get the work done. Remember when I spoke about the sprinter, I talked about how the sprinter also thrives on pressure. The difference between the sprinter and the reactor is that the sprinter creates that pressure by himself or herself, while the reactor works or thrives on external pressure. So the reactor is just basically the kind of person in your office or in your school or a colleague who would not get work done till they are called and they are asked for the work or they are asked for the job. Is that kind of person you probably would hire for a job, and then you tell them, okay, you have so and so time, and then they wait till you call them before they start to get things done, or they start to push themselves to get things done. So if you're someone who is a reactor, here's how you can build a system that works for you. You already know how to work well under pressure, obviously, because you wait for external pressure to get things done. So how about you leverage external accountability? So you have probably like people that check in on you, or people that call you and keep you in check. You have regular check-ins, you have like co-working sessions that keep that burst going or keep that drive going. Another thing that you can do to keep you in that place of discipline, because as a reactor, you might not necessarily be a very disciplined person because you thrive on external pressure. So one thing that you want to do is to also try to see how you can have 3 non-negotiables for every day. Things that you know that you must commit to. So before you step into a day, rather than just waiting to see how the day goes and how the day flows and just go with the flow or go with the pressure that you receive, you can just say, what are the 3 things that I know that should be at the top of my to-do list today? Set those 3 non-negotiable goals and try as much as possible to stick to those goals. So one thing that a reactor should try to do, or someone who is a reactor should try to do, is to try and infuse that sense of being proactive, that sense of discipline, that sense of responsibility into their system. And this is why I said have 3 non-negotiables that you have to work on every single day when you step into a new day or a new week. And also, because you're someone who is externally motivated, you're someone who thrives on external pressure, another thing that you'll be dealing with is a lot of distractions. So whenever you're working, for example, your phone beeps or your phone rings, you're the kind of person that would usually just want to go and respond. Oh, what are they saying? What are they trying to tell me? Or maybe it's important, maybe I need to check it. One of the things that you want to do is to make sure that your phone is probably far away from your workspace or your workstation. You put your phone on DND, do not disturb, so you cannot get notifications. And to better manage this, you can also tell yourself, I know I've met someone who said because of how she's prone to responding to her messages during work hours, she would usually have a time where she batch response to messages or batch response to emails and stuff like that, those normal distractions. So she'll keep her phone away, give herself a time block to work on her priority goals, and then go to her phone for like 30 minutes, and in that space of 30 minutes she'll respond to all her messages, respond to everyone that's trying to reach her, drop the phone, and then go back to work. So this is something that can also work for you if you're a reactor. So the last archetype I want us to speak about is the builder. If you're someone who is a builder, you are someone who thrives on process. You love a process, you love long-term wins, you thrive on commitment, and so you do better with long-term goals than short-term goals. You're not someone who works well under pressure, because you just like to take your time to ease into a routine and then build a process. The downside to this kind of archetype is that you may be someone who will not be able to constantly evolve or constantly change your systems when they need to be changed. Because you are process driven, you already have a plan as to how this will run for the long term, and you find it difficult to get to that place where you can just stop and reflect and adjust. So the fact that you started out something in a certain way and it's working, you just want to continue with that process, but the truth is that it doesn't always work like that. So if you're someone who is a builder who thrives on long-term processes, you want to get into that place where you stop yourself maybe every week or every month, since you like long-term things. Every month you sit down with yourself and you ask yourself, okay, what have I been doing for the last 1 month? How can I make changes to my routines or to my processes? What is working? What is not working? What can I adjust? You want to consistently keep yourself in this place so that you're constantly, purposely disrupting yourself, asking yourself the right questions and adjusting as you go along. If you're a builder, one of the things you will also notice is that you have decision-making fatigue. So if this means actually that if an abrupt work comes or if something happens suddenly, it's difficult for you to make a decision on the spot because you're just used to that long-term flow. One of the things that you can do is to try as much as possible to automate your processes. That way, your apps, your systems are making the decisions for you, and you don't have to put yourself in front of making those decisions yourself. Another thing that you want to do if you're someone who is a builder is to set milestones. For example, last year I worked as an accountability coach in a program that ran for 40 weeks. And for someone like me who is more of a flower and a bit of a planner, I was not very comfortable with that system. Because when it comes to long term, I have to find a way to keep myself motivated to keep going. But one of the things that helped me thrive in that system was setting milestones for myself. So I looked at the calendar and I saw that we're going to work in 3 trimesters. And in those 3 trimesters, I sort of gave myself weekly milestones in order to be able to track my progress, improve on my systems as time went on. And before you know it, it was 40 weeks, and to the best of my ability, I was able to stay the course and still produce valuable work. So one of the things you want to do if you're someone who loves a process and who loves long-term work is that you want to be able to set milestones, review your processes, review your work, and see how you can make adjustments along the way. So far, we've spoken about the 5 productivity by design archetypes. We spoke about the planner, we spoke about the sprinter, we spoke about the flower, the reactor, and the builder. To make it easier for you, if you've listened so far in this conversation and you're someone who is saying, I'm not sure where I really fall into, I'm going to link in my description a quiz that is going to help you really see where you are and sort of begin to set systems based on the results that you get. But here are some disclaimers that I want to give, even as you get into this process of truly finding your rhythm and understanding your season. I want you to understand that as much as these archetypes speak mostly to what your natural rhythm is or what your natural rhythms are, I want you to understand that there are seasons of your life you step into and you find out that your natural rhythm will not work. You just have to get things done because you have to get them done, and discipline is important. I know that there are certain seasons of my life I got into, especially as a mother, as a young mother, getting into motherhood and understanding that I was not responsible for somebody else who did not understand my time, who did not respect my time, who did not respect whether or not I wanted to be working at that time, and would just cry when they needed something. And so I had to find myself adjusting my systems in a way that accommodated that new season. So another question you need to ask yourself is this: what are my natural rhythms? But beyond my natural rhythms, what seasons am I in? And which of these systems will really work for the specific season that I find myself? That is the most effective way to create a system that actually works for you. But one thing I need us to also understand is there is no taking away the place of discipline when you want to commit to the things that you have said you will commit to. The truth is that whether you like it or not, there are certain things that you still have to get done. If you're someone who is an employee in a company, you're someone who is a student in school, you're someone who is a mother, they are non-negotiables. They are things that you have to get done. While I'm trying to use this conversation to help you lean into working in a way that pays attention to your rhythm and who you are as a person, there is still room for understanding that the things I've committed to, I have to get them done one way or the other. One thing I know is that there is no perfect system. There is no, like I said in my last video, there is no one size fits all. But I believe that this conversation will really help you begin to properly see your time, properly manage your time, and also work in a way that you actually enjoy the things that you're doing. And it brings me to the last point I will make before we close out this video. You have to also ask yourself, in what ways can I make the work that I do more fun for myself? In what way can I enjoy my activities more? What kind of routines can I put into my system that would allow me enjoy the process? Because the truth is that if you don't get to that place of infusing fun and learning to enjoy the process, you will not be able to do work that is meaningful, and you will not be able to stay happy and excited about the things that you're committed to. So also ask yourself, how can I infuse fun into my routine? One of the things I will tell you is this: learn to celebrate your wins. It is so important. No matter how small those wins are, learn to celebrate those wins. And outside of that, also learn to give yourself rewards from time to time. No matter how small those rewards are, those things help keep you motivated. They help keep you excited about the things that you're committing to. Let me know in the comment section which archetype resonates most with you, and what are you going to be doing differently going forward? I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to reading from you as always, and I look forward to us growing together. Thank you so much for watching this video. Based on your questions and based on your responses, I can decide to do a third video, but that depends on what you actually want to hear more of. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye.